Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo, back after a couple weeks, and we are talking, oh boy, did I come back at the perfect time, the deepest, sexiest, hottest free agent wide receiver class you have ever seen. Headlined by Tee Higgins. That's the headliner, folks. I don't know how that's like you go to Coachella and you see Kanye today as the headliner, and you're like, I don't know why we scheduled him to be the headliner today, but that's who we have headlining the show is Tee Higgins and fucking Hootie in the Blowfish. It's Tee Higgins and the Blowfish, essentially, folks. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. Hosting me, back in the not host chair. Thank God, Ryan. Josh is there now too. So
one of these days, I'm actually going to meet Joe in person and just punch him in the mouth.
One of these days, Alice. One of these days.
Pow, right in the kiss.
I'm going to stimulate the American economy by buying a new car. Family Guy joke for those out there. This show, guys. So I gotta ask, because I haven't had the chance to listen back to the shows the last couple weeks. How have they been? Have they been good? Have they been entertaining?
Yes, they've been great.
Yeah, awesome. Because everyone that you've talked about
had to talk about aren't the best.
I was gonna say so 2 weeks ago it was just me and Josh, and the quarterbacks were mildly interesting. Yes, they were bad. What am I saying? It was bad.
They're bad.
There's just no starters going anywhere that we can think of. Last week we thankfully had Andrew Hall on, and he had just written a free agent article, so he was able to talk circles around Josh and I, and it was a good show because of that. So.
All right, great. Well, the Tom Segura comedy special came today because these fucking jokesters were. I'm not gonna. I looked at the list. And I truly can't think of a single nice thing to say outside of Keenan Allen's a free agent and we can rest our laurels on that guy. Shut up, Ryan. Shut up. He's still 26 and in his prime in my heart.
Hey, you're never going to get a bad word out of me about Keenan Allen. Landing spot's going to matter there. And I'll be honest, I don't like even my landing spot that I have for him. So
is my one of these days, Alice, is that a 50s domestic violence? Is that really how old it is? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. That is from the PTV episode of Family Guy, for those wondering, if you'd like to go back and watch that. Absolute elite episode.
I love that Joe is making references to references, and he doesn't know where the original reference comes from. So.
Family Guy did a whole episode on how they reference the 80s, and none of their audience knows any of the references.
Donovan is the same. So Donovan fell in love with The Simpsons. And so Donovan will references. He'll be like, oh, yeah, there was a Simpson episode about that. And I'm like, no, motherfucker, that actually happened in the 80s.
Correct. Accurate. First things first, like, subscribe, super chat, all that fun stuff. Trophy Smack still here, Mr. Hudson? We're still vibing?
We got Trophy Smack, yeah.
Great, awesome. If you haven't bought your trophy, if you need other things, you need to do your due diligence. Maybe you're planning towards next year. Maybe you want a St. Patrick's Day gift. I don't fucking know what you celebrate. You can go to trophysmack.com/.
Well, they don't just do. They also just don't do fantasy football. There's a ton of fantasy.
Yeah, they do stuff for like businesses, like sales competitions.
Yeah, that's
they
what
do
I
all
said.
kinds of good
That's
stuff.
what I said. You celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Rosh Hashanah, is that a thing? Right? I think that happens.
Fantasy Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah. Passover. I'm trying to hit all the ethnicities. I'm not well versed in ethnic holidays. Here we go, though.
Perfect.
Couple news and notes. NFL Combine is this week. Completely forgot about that until I was listening to Boston Sports Radio, listening to Elliot Wolf talk fucking circles around himself about the Patriots draft class last year. Wolf's at the Combine.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow women of _FF. Twitter and IG. Wendy, Stacy, Jen, and Hoof. All the goods. Bringing them there. And all those ladies, Hoof will not be attending, but they'll all be at the Indy Fuel hockey game on Saturday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We're like, hey, you guys are in town. You want tickets? So there we go.
And you
Beautiful.
just left Hoove off. That's awesome.
Wendy texted me and said there will be 4 of us. So maybe Hoove left himself off. It is on Saturday too, and it's at Saturday at 7. So if he's not staying, who knows? Hoove, you're not invited anyway. So I hope you
get out, Hoove.
Yeah, fuck you, buddy. The Bills also signed Khalil Shakir to a 4-year extension worth up to $60 million, $32 million guaranteed. That is, of the last 10 years, the only contract extension in NFL history that makes sense and is probably paid fairly.
Yeah. Isn't that about what Christian Kirk got per year?
4 years, $81 million.
Okay. So this feels about right. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like that feels, and that was Christian Kirk 3 years ago, and the wide receiver market's obviously way different. That's a good signing. Buffalo, great signing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Might want to get another guy to help out Khalil Shakir.
Let's talk about that on the show.
Yeah. Teams with wide receiver questions. There's a lot. Surprisingly, there's a lot.
So Josh gives me a second glance at the show sheet. And I always, like, for the running backs and the quarterbacks, I go through and I look for teams he might have missed. And I added 1 or 2 on each. I feel like we could literally, and I feel like we made this joke last year, every team needs a wide receiver.
Yeah, I tried to focus more so on teams with like a glaring need for like a true wide receiver 1, or that really needed like a legitimate second weapon to like really sort of take them over the hump.
That's exactly, because I was looking at, I'm like, I could literally add Arizona was the first one that came to mind. And it's like, well, obviously they have MHJ. They like Michael Wilson, but like, nah.
Okay.
I mean, but again, like that team is
exactly Josh. I'm not trying to give you a hard time here. Like that, I'm just saying, like, every team needs it, but Josh focused on the teams that are like, it's a focus.
According to Jonathan Gannon, he doesn't want to put any, big things out there, but Kyler Murray's geared up for a big season. So if you didn't want to say it, why'd you say it there?
Yeah.
Big dog. I feel like I've been hearing this.
The industry said about Kyler last year.
I feel like I've been hearing this about Kyler literally every year.
Yep.
So
Gannon hasn't seen Kyler since December. What the fuck does he know if he's geared up for a big season? Shut the fuck up.
He got his Call of Duty fix in.
I was just going to say, so they're in a Call of Duty party?
Yeah. Now he's back in the gym. He's been watching
Verdansk is coming back to
stream on Twitch.
Verdansk is coming back to Warzone next month.
Sure.
So there's no chance Kyler's going to be ready.
He was watching Kyler stream on Twitch, right? Smallboy69, that's his handle. All right? That's what he streams as. SMOL for those looking it up.
That's right.
BOI.
BOI.
60 spelled out _ the number 9.
Yeah.
TTV if you want to find him in your local Warzone games.
We
teams with wide receiver questions. Yeah. No, we didn't. We gained them. Patriots. Yep. Did you say desperate need of a wide receiver 1 for Drake May? Desperate need of a wide receiver. Not 1. 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Desperate need of a wide receiver. Raiders. Jacoby Myers is a wide receiver 2. Wrong. He's a wide receiver 1.5. Okay? Please do not disparage this man's name. They do need a legit wide receiver 1 on the outside to help take some pressure off Bowers. The Jets. Garrett Wilson said, fuck you, trade me. And Devontae Adams is not going to be there because Aaron Rodgers no longer exists as a Jet and is reaching out to the Giants, of all people.
Oh, I had not heard that
report.
Wait, who's reaching out to the Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers reached out to the New York Giants.
I thought you were talking Adams. And I was like, okay, that's strange. But
no, Aaron Rodgers. Well, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is a Giant,
if one domino falls,
guess who's going to be a Giant?
Because guess what? The Giants could use some help as well. So
the Panthers, Adam Thielen is 34 and Xavier Leggett isn't there yet. If he ever becomes wide receiver 1, Saints, Olave needs a running mate, and his injury history as of late is not looking great. Bengals, if they lose Higgins, they won't. Broncos, Sutton has no guaranteed money and no wide receiver 1 if he leaves. Tell that to Jerry Jeudy.
I don't
know. I'm sorry. What am I thinking? Fuck.
I was about to say, what are you thinking? Judy's in Cleveland.
I was thinking that Jeudy dunked on the Broncos when he came back this year. Marvin Mims. Sorry.
There we go.
Marvin Mims in his 2 70-yard bomb touchdowns that didn't end up mattering, right? Didn't they lose that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. The Steelers, Pickens is a headache. Yeah, he is. And has no real second option in the passing game. They also don't have a passer. So that's a massive issue for the Steelers. Chargers, McConkey's a dog. They don't have a second target. Packers, they don't have a target. They're just they're like the top golf targets. They're there.
Yeah.
Optional if they're gonna catch anything, but they're there. Texans, Diggs is a free agent. Dell is likely out all of 2025. So as of right now, they will walk into the season with Nico Collins and Xavier Hutchinson.
Yeah, boy, and John Mechie.
Listen. I'm not here to put any bad juju on John Mechie. I believe
Never.
he's still on my
He's had enough
squad.
bad juju in his short career.
Listen,
Yes.
let the man. You just wait, all right? You just wait. Let him play against an Auburn graduate or a former Auburn Tiger. Gonna fucking eat him up. The Rams need a replacement for Cooper Kupp. The Commanders need a legit wide receiver 2 opposite Terry McLaurin. Same thing as the Packers. The Bills don't really have a number 1 option. They just have a lot of targets. Nobody that's really gonna catch anything because we know Dalton Kincaid can't do that. Nope. And the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy made strides, but they do need another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. We'll see how that goes for the Chiefs.
Well, I was actually going to call Josh out on this one. Is this active cognitive dissonance that you are just forgetting Rashee Rice? Because I feel like they're fine once he's back.
Maybe. But again, he's coming off of a pretty serious knee injury and likely facing a suspension. So there's a good chance they may not have him for up to 10, 12 games next year.
Wasn't he likely facing a suspension last year too?
Yeah, but it was the same thing that happened with Alvin Kamara a couple years ago, right? Like the suspension ultimately comes. It's just
it always goes the next season.
Yeah, they always end up pushing it back. They did the same thing to Tom Brady in Deflategate.
Yeah, well, that worked out well for the league. He won a Super Bowl that year.
There you go.
And then missed 4 games the next year. That's what I'm saying.
No, he won the Super Bowl the same year.
Yeah, the year he missed the games.
The year he missed the games. Yeah. Questions for the panel. I'm going to skip the biggest splash at receiver because that's just, it feels like everybody, and I feel like we'll get to that when we get to the guys individually. The big one is the team that I believe benefits the most is if the Patriots go get Drake May a legitimate receiver, that 4-win team becomes an 8-win. That could be the second best team in the division and vie for a 7 or 6 seed.
Yeah. Josh and I struggle with this question with the other 2 position groups too, because there's like one player if you're going to make a splash, and we all happen to think that one player is not going anywhere. I think the team that needs to, and maybe it's going to end up being a trade, is Buffalo. You are in a very competitive AFC, and you are lacking without a wide receiver 1. And it's time to go get something done. And so that's kind of where I took this question, is that I think Buffalo needs to make the biggest splash. I don't know how they're going to do it, because it ain't none of these fucking players, but that's who needs to make the splash.
Truly, for Buffalo, I don't think it does anything for them. They need to get over the mental hump of just actually playing well in the playoffs. Like, truly, even in the game against Baltimore, they weren't great. They just, they did was not turn the ball over 3 times and drop a 2-point conversion to tie the game. Like, Buffalo did not play incredibly well in that game against Baltimore. So Buffalo just needs to get over that mental hurt. I don't know if, a wide receiver 1 is going to help that whole thing, because they had Diggs. Like, they had Kansas City on the ropes. Sean McDermott just can't coach. So I think there's little things that will help them regular season wise.
What's funny is
the offense will go through the roof.
If they had Diggs this season, obviously a healthy Diggs, I feel like they're probably a Super Bowl team this season if they had Diggs.
We've been saying that for 3 years with them.
Yeah.
When they had Diggs.
No, but what I'm getting at is when they didn't have Diggs, they were going up against a prime Cincinnati team, a very prime Kansas City team. This year they had to get past Baltimore, and I'm not trying to shit on ball. Like it was doable if they had the right teams this year. Our team this year.
I just don't think they can win against Kansas City, and that's all coaching. So, and also like Joe Brady didn't call a great game against Kansas City again.
Well, there's that. I mean, and that's the thing is that's why it was so surprising in the Super Bowl to see Andy outcoached, because he has just been beating down the AFC.
Oh yeah, I haven't been here since Super Bowl. Oh, coach, the dude got pantsed in it was
something else.
Question: has anybody heard anything about Mahomes and Brady in the same conversation since the Super Bowl? Because I haven't
You
heard.
realize that the current
any
age of
words.
Mahomes, when Brady was the same age, they have literally the same Super Bowl.
Josh, I
championships.
haven't. But here's the thing. So here's a fun stat. Tom Brady and all the Super
Any
Bowls
argument you're
he
going to
ever
make is going to
played
make Joe Montana the greatest quarterback of all time. Whatever
in.
you say here
No,
to
it's
make
not.
whatever you say to make Brady better than Mahomes makes Joe Montana better than Brady. Plain and simple.
Okay, wrong, because Brady has 7 to Montana's 4. Let's just
Montana has 0 losses.
And great for him. Montana went to 4. Brady went to 10. So I really don't know what to tell you here.
So what you're saying is LeBron is better than Jordan because LeBron made it to more title games, right?
Sure.
Because that's literally the argument you just put forth.
Sure. At this point in time, sure. Why not? Why not, Joshua? Okay, why not? First off, Patrick Mahomes has been to 5. He's won 3 of them. Very, very good. Solid. Happy for you, buddy. Do you want to know his point differential total in his 5 Super Bowls?
We know this.
He doesn't play defense.
Let's get off of this question. Jesus
No,
Christ,
no. It's not he doesn't play defense, Ryan. It's he has lost 2 Super Bowls by a combined ass fucking whooping, dude. He's gotten fucked in 2 of them. That never happened to Montana, never happened to Brady. Hell, didn't happen to fucking, like, it doesn't happen to the greatest. I'm not saying the dude isn't great. Let's be clear.
It almost happened to Brady, but Kyle Shanahan handed one to you.
Hold on. And what did Tom do?
What did Kyle Shanahan do?
And listen, a lot of things had to go right. I'm not gonna.
Okay,
my favorite
the wide receivers.
All right. Hey, I haven't gotten to talk about it, and it is very clear they're not even in the same fucking stratosphere. Everybody can calm the fuck down right now.
They're very much in the same stratosphere.
No, because he's not the greatest yet. They're on the track. He's not the greatest yet.
Stratosphere. He's pacing.
Yeah, pacing. He's still fucking 20 feet above the ground. Tom Brady's 20,000. So let's cool the fucking Jets, everybody. There's no reason to even put them in the same fucking breath. One team, one wide receiver away. Ryan, you said Bills. I don't.
Oh no, I just completely got skipped on this first question. That's okay.
Yeah,
well, Joe was trying to skip the first question altogether.
Yeah, because which team makes the big?
Because my answer is different for the next one wide receiver away. So
the Bengals make the biggest splash because they're franchising Tee Higgins because they're not going to come to a long-term deal. We said there's no trading for Cooper Kupp. What is that going to do for a team? What is that going to do? What is getting Devontae Adams going to do for a team? Unless they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. This wide receiver class, frankly, sucks. I don't think there's any splash that you could make unless you're swinging some crazy... Garrett Wilson has to be traded somewhere. And I don't know if anybody is going to be willing to pay up for Garrett Wilson. Right? That has to be the trade to make the splash.
I think DK Metcalf could get traded.
Nah.
Hey, you've been saying that for a while, Josh.
I'm not saying he doesn't get traded, but like, I'm not hating on DK, but what has he given you the last 2 years where you're like, that guy?
That's fair.
He's done nothing, right? Like, true. Like you could argue that if Deebo Samuel got released or traded, going to another team, that team would greatly benefit from Deebo Samuel's skill. What has Deebo given you the last 2 years to even say, all right, well,
yeah,
Deebo's given you one really good season, right? He's given you one really good season.
Yeah.
DK,
it kind of feels maybe giving you like 1.5.
He's had more than that. He's had 5 of 7 years over 1,000 yards.
Great.
Half of his seasons, he's had 10 or more touchdowns.
1,000 yards, you need to average fucking 70 yards a game in today's NFL. It's not difficult to get 1,000 yards in today's NFL. Mike Evans doing it for 11 consecutive seasons is impressive.
I agree, and yet there's still only 18 wide receivers a year that top 1,000 yards, if that.
DK Metcalf should be topping.
That's still not even one for every team. Like, it's still a benchmark. Is what I'm getting at.
And I understand that. I think that benchmark has been more watered down now at this point. I don't think DK is a splash. I think it's I think it's fun. But if DK went to Buffalo, what does that do for the Bills?
I think he goes to New England, honestly. But
I don't know why. Don't want him. His route tree.
I think he could play a Randy Moss role in McDaniel's offense pretty well.
Okay,
as quick as he is, as big as he is.
Don't know about that one.
I'm not saying he'll be Randy Moss, but
his route tree is forward.
He is to Randy Moss as Drake May is to Tom Brady. I think it's a perfect.
run 2007 back, but just add the Super Bowl win, and we're fine. If we drafted Ladd McConkey, we would have had the trifecta of Brady, Welker, and Moss with Metcalf, McConkey, and May. I mean,
there you go.
Who says no?
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get over the Ladd McConkey passing over.
No,
brother.
Never.
I mean,
especially now that McDaniels is back. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Listen. That's Demario Douglas is going to have a fucking year. Let me tell you. All right. Let me tell you. I still can't get over that. The Chargers had a home run on that one. I just don't see any receiver making a big enough splash for anybody to being the threat per se on offense.
I got one for you.
Okay, I'm going to disagree.
You probably will. Davante Adams to the Commanders.
What does that do? Davante Adams doesn't have Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback.
Oh, Jaden Daniels is pretty damn good. Just saying.
but Davante Adams doesn't like anybody but Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that Jaden Daniels is bad. Jaden Daniels is awesome. He's not Aaron Rodgers.
No, but what I'm
really
saying
good
is
for
when
Jaden
you look
Daniels.
at that offense with McLaurin, who just had his best season as a pro, with Davante Adams, who clearly still has it, with a young quarterback who's completing over 70% of their passes,
he's pretty
that
good.
can help take that offense to the next level.
Well, and that's why I actually used Washington as my example for the last question of this section, the one team or one wide receiver away. Because what was interesting about Washington this year is Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus looked relevant.
Dogs.
And I'm just like, if you got a real wide receiver too in there, and someone in the chat, Vince, brings up Kupp or Adams to Washington, gives them a boost because why not? And I tend to agree with that right now you don't know what you have at tight end because Zach Ertz is old and you don't know if Ben Sinnott is ready to not be a fullback anymore. But you have this electric quarterback and it's you got to get these weapons with him while he's on his rookie deal and all the cliches we've been saying with the NFL for years now. So,
and if Adams gets cut, it's going to be a scenario much like what Russ had last year when Denver cut him. They were paying him all of that money. He's able to sign a very low end deal. The Commanders just made the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback. Adams could sign for minimal because the Jets are still paying him a ton of money, or the Raiders are. One of those two teams is paying him a shit ton of money.
Those two franchises are just dog shit.
But that's what I'm getting at. Like, and let's not forget, Washington has, I think, the second or third most available cap space in the NFL.
I got you. They have the third at just under $80 million.
Was Adams with Rodgers when they won one? Or was that too long ago?
It was right.
Okay.
No.
So that's my.
He got there the year after.
Like
that
some
was
of these older guys,
Donald Driver and Greg Jennings.
Some of these older guys, if they truly want to ring chase, like we were talking about Tee Higgins before the show, and he's only going to get $26 million this year. Now, obviously, it's a 1-year deal, and I never fault these athletes for wanting more money. But I'm like, it's also $26 million fucking dollars, and you've made a chunk since you've been in the league, even though you were a second-round pick.
And it's 26 guaranteed too.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
So like,
fully
this
guaranteed.
is your money. You're set for the rest of your life as long as you don't live like an asshole. Davante Adams is set for the rest of his life, assuming he's not an asshole. Go chase a ring and don't worry about. Don't worry about $15 million a year. Go chase a ring. I don't know. Obviously, it's easy to say this to people who I don't have to worry about their bank account. So,
and Ryan worked in banking, so he would know the best of,
again.
Of
yeah,
the
I'll never fault anybody for getting that money.
Oh, I mean, yes, but again, like the Washington, like being that force or something like that. Like they're already a force. Like they need a running back to help them, if anything, right? The tight end potentially as well. But like they're already a force on offense. I can't see a team that's like, do the Patriots get better with a receiver?
Yeah,
100%. Are they a force? No. They're good. They're probably a really good offense, but you're not like trotting out there and you're like, oh shit, here comes the New England Patriots. Like that I don't see that happening.
How about the Chargers? Put another legitimate wide receiver opposite McConkey. Justin Herbert clearly has 5,000 yard passing potential.
Oh, 100%.
That offensive scheme breeds 12, 13, 1,500 yard rushers.
So I did, I'm not worried about the running. You could put fucking me back there at running back, and I'm getting 800 yards at least in that offense. I didn't watch enough Chargers to know this, but like, it just felt like they were force feeding Ladd McConkey and then peppering the tight ends a little bit. I saw someone bring up Stone Smart. They were peppering the tight ends a little bit. Not saying that Stone Smart was getting like 100 targets a game, but I love the Stone Smart reference.
Yeah.
And like we talk about like, Josh Palmer's a free agent, 26, probably not expected to be back with the Chargers. It didn't feel like they were ever trying to get a second receiver involved. And like, we have seen Josh Palmer have connection with Justin Herbert at a high level. So I don't know if that scheme that Harbaugh and company are running is conducive to have that second guy to help bring that force.
I don't know that they're unhappy with what Quentin Johnson gave them as a second guy. 60% catch rate, 13 yards per catch, 8 touchdowns scored. Obviously, they came in like 2 games. But for that offense, I agree with you, Joe. I don't know that they see it as a need.
It's very the same situation they had in Baltimore, right? Like Baltimore had mainly one wide receiver or one tight end that was the focal point outside of the running game. Maybe the position they actually target isn't a wide receiver 2, but it's a legitimate tight end 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll give you like optics wise. If you told me that they went in, I literally all these receivers fucking blow. I can't name you one that I'm like, oh yeah, but like if they went in, got Cooper Kupp, right? That probably doesn't make any sense because running
for McConkey.
Yeah, like exactly, it's redundant. But let's just say like, okay, but play the game. McConkey plays outside. Having Ladd McConkey and Cooper Kupp as a defense, it's like, okay, you got to respect it a little bit, but I don't think it does anything for the Chargers. I think the defense might have to game plan differently, so maybe it opens up other things. I just don't see a wide receiver going to a team making them a force right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And being the focal point of that force. Josh, I would agree if they brought a name in there, defenses would then have to maybe respect that guy, maybe like a Devontae. They would have to respect him. But in all reality,
and that's kind of my point, is that now that McConkey's taken the league by storm, defenses are going to key in on him if they don't have that legitimate second option. That's going to make the passing attack that much more difficult.
I'll give you this: if there's a team like that, or even if the Commanders as well, if Cortland Sutton goes to one of those teams, that I would probably fall to that because I think Sutton supplements McConkey insanely well.
I was going to say Sutton is arguably
the best guy you could possibly get of anybody right now.
Yeah,
fairly
I think that's
easily.
Probably the case. Yeah, absolutely.
Because if
Problem
Denver
is he's
doesn't,
not technically a free agent.
Yeah,
but if Denver doesn't want to extend him because he's 28, 29, he's on the
should be 29.
He's on the older end of 20s. So like at this point, he's probably looking for his final big contract, as we always say with these guys. If Denver doesn't want to give him, say, a 3-year deal, but another team does, and they can easily maybe not get him now, but get him at the trade deadline.
I say it won't be the Chargers, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, yeah, they will not trade in division, but that's a massive pickup. That's probably not a guy looking at free agent right now, but looking at trade deadline come week 8, week 9, is Cortland Sutton on the move? How are the Broncos feeling?
Yeah.
Running through this, as we mentioned, this incredible class of free agent wide receivers. It starts at Tee Higgins. None of us believe he's not a Bengal, right? He's a Bengal with how Duke Tobin is talking at this point.
I think it's a virtual certainty. The question is, will he play under the franchise tag?
And that's the thing, is like, unless Tee Higgins says I'm not playing under the franchise and the Bengals are just like, okay, screw it, then he goes to another team. But I think at this point, he will be a Bengal. Here's your other in their prime, ladies and gentlemen. It starts with Elijah Moore.
Yeah, boy.
The wide
I clearly
receiver,
broke this down by age and less about talent.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Well,
I noticed
well,
it
here's
too.
the thing. Here's the thing. Elijah Moore, wide receiver 3 in the Browns offense.
Yeah.
Rondale Moore, wide receiver 3? Question mark. Wide receiver 4? I don't know where he technically was on the depth chart in Arizona, but it wasn't high.
Well, and then he went
He
to
was in Atlanta last year
and
he was in Atlanta.
all
and
reports
missed the whole season.
All reports though were that Ray McCloud was already working ahead of him. So
Ray McCloud had a great season last year. I completely forgot that he was a fucking Falcon. Wow. All right, that's how irrelevant Rondale Moore is. Tutu Atwell, the wide receiver 4 on his team.
What really has me tripping about Tutu Atwell is I feel like he's been in the league for fucking ever. So the fact that he's just hitting free agency at 26 years old, like I feel like he's been in the league.
This is year 4.
I'm guessing it's year 4.
This is the Jamar Chase wide receiver class.
Yeah.
But like Chase still feels new. Tutu Atwell, I swear, just feels
that's fair.
like he's been around forever.
Because he pops up every game or
Yeah,
so,
I
and
guess
you're
that's
like,
what
wow,
it is,
this wily vet had a really good game. It's like Sammy Watkins. Like, shouldn't Sammy Watkins be trotting out next year?
Well, it's always
age
week
33?
1 and week 17 for Sammy Watkins.
If you had the 11th pick, or if you had an 11th round pick and Sammy Watkins was sitting there, you'd pick him up knowing he was going to drop a 50 burger week 1. Then you just drop him, and everything was fine.
Move on.
The other 2 absolute stud muffins in their prime category, Josh Palmer. I actually like Josh Palmer.
I know you do.
I do too.
He's a wide receiver 2, nothing more. And even the 2 might be a stretch, but I think he's a good wide receiver 2. De'Ami Brown, sure.
De'Ami Brown's interesting just because he had a pretty solid, end of the season stretch there with the Commanders, but I don't think it's going to land
a somewhat high draft pick too.
But he was a 3rd round pick. He was one of the infamous names on Amon-Ra St. Brown's, wide receivers drafted ahead of him list. So
and that's where I think 3rd round receivers, that tends to be a really good sweet spot for receivers.
No, it actually doesn't.
Really?
Jason Wood from Football Guys, who I will contend is one of the smartest people I've had the pleasure of working with, just recently did something in our background chat that he really should turn into an article. But and he may have been citing somebody else's article. The hit rates for beyond round 1 or round 2 are putrid for wide receivers. Absolutely.
Yeah, because a lot of teams will take them just for their special teams contributions and not actually for what they provide to an NFL
I'm
offense.
thinking more of back when Keenan Allen was drafted, because Keenan Allen's draft class was solid, and he was a 3rd round pick. And the guys that went around him were solid. So that's fair.
Nico Collins was a 3rd round pick. Amon-Ra was a 4th round pick.
Let me see it. Oh, yeah, because
I know was a 5th.
Yeah, but we're finding the good ones, and then
those are the diamonds in the rough, 100%.
The pure 100%. Numbers of guys drafted in those draft rounds.
If you go back, I think mid 2010s, there's probably a decent amount, but I would, probably in the last 10
Terry
years.
McLaurin actually was the 3rd round pick.
T-Mac, dog.
But so that's Deontay Johnson, actually. Now that I think about it.
So but those are good. But now, as you mentioned, those 3rd round guys tend to now be specialty guys. They're not. Those guys that maybe could have waited until the 5th round before, these teams are now valuing the special guys because Mike McDaniels has a package that he can use them in for 10 plays and things like that. Whereas, even, again, I know Xavier Worthy progressed very well and obviously set a combine record, but as a wide receiver, Xavier Worthy was not a 1st round talent. As a wide receiver, the man could just run really fucking fast. So that's a specialty skill.
Yeah.
How about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Why the hell was he pick 32? Sorry, Ryan. I know that's a tough spot for you.
I fell in love with him because I thought the skill set was going to work. It clearly didn't.
But
what's funny is I hated him as a rookie. It was when the rest of the world turned on him. I have to be that guy, so I went the other way. So,
and that's the thing. Is,
just word of advice, Ryan. You don't actually have to be that guy.
No, I do. It comes with the beard.
And that's the thing is, they fell in love with CEH's skill. The best running back in that class was Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, absolutely.
By far.
And let's not forget, wasn't DeAndre Swift also taken ahead of Taylor? The stupidity of the mistakes in that draft.
And even let's just use Ladd McConkey as an example for last year. Respectfully, why the fuck is Keon Coleman going ahead of Ladd McConkey? Why are the Patriots trading out to take Jalen Polk further back? Like,
I just want to
take the skill.
I do want to say, to credit Jason's work, and again, I don't think he's publishing this anywhere. I probably shouldn't even be quoting it, but we'll be all right. He doesn't lump the third in. The third has about a 20% hit rate, according to his, and I don't know what qualifies as a hit. But from the fourth on, he says they're all Hail Marys. And so he's talking about it more from a rookie dynasty standpoint, that looking at draft capital, if they're drafted after the fourth round, unless they're Puka Nacua and you're getting extremely lucky, you're probably wasting your time. So
yeah, and I would say that's fair.
Yeah.
1 in every 5 in the third round. I feel like that's
a
solid, decent hit rate. Depth pieces is the next depth on here. Nick Westbrook-Akine, dog. Look out. Man's a menace. 7 touchdowns in 7 games, 0 the rest of them, but he'll get you there. Hollywood Brown, irrelevant. Should retire.
Wow.
Darius Slayton, you need to put him in their prime. I love Darius Slayton. It's some team.
This is not prime.
He's the same age as Hollywood Brown, and Joe is washing one.
First off,
priming the other.
First off, Hollywood Brown's a fucking bum. Okay, Darius Slayton is a man. That man is a dog.
Joe, you're gonna be. I
have
have
been cursed as a New York Giant.
So Josh changed the format up from this show for the rest of our shows, where he put the players for us to guess the landing spots, which, by the way, Josh, we definitely should have been doing in the previous shows. Way better feel to it as I was writing it out. But regardless, I added Hollywood, Joe, because I felt he deserved discussion. And clearly you don't agree.
No, deserved discussion? What do you mean?
The kid was hurt last year. He's been decent in the NFL.
He's been decent in the NFL. But no, he hasn't. He sucks.
He does not.
What do you mean? He's horrible. That guy is going to get overpaid, go to a team on a 1-year deal, twist his ankle, be out for 8 weeks, and put up 300 yards on the season.
So he's DJ Chark. Cool.
I said, if you're going about it that way, I can't argue with any of the points you've made. I'm just saying when he's on the field.
Because he's bad. He's simply bad. DJ Chark, he gave you 1 good year. He gave you
literally.
1.
You know what, though? DJ Chark, didn't he start the run of LSU wide receivers? So let's get what's...
No, that was Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, but good try.
Yeah, Chark was
really,
after. That's right.
Really good try. No, he did not start the run of LSU receivers. However, he was a dynasty draft pick by myself, dropped after his rookie year because he did nothing, and then he went off his second year.
There you go, Joe. You ruined him by drafting
him. But the real dog of the class, Greg Dortch, a restricted free agent.
Obviously.
At age 27. Aging, but maybe there's something left. Now, there are some names you hear in here, and they're like, okay, maybe they go to a team, maybe they help them out a little bit. Stephon Diggs, not going to help a team. We have seen that before. It's not going to work, not going to help. Keenan Allen, elite receiver. Absolute fucking... That man is the...
tight end now, as big as he is.
He is the Mercedes Lewis of the fucking wide receiver position.
I just need him to shave his head. I can't deal with the hairline with Keenan anymore. It's a lot.
What do you mean? Just have him take just have him shave his beard and then glue it.
And I'm good with that because what he had in Chicago last year really made me feel bad for being a Keenan Allen fan. So,
Vince comment of the year, Hollywood clown, nice, iconic. I do see yours, and I was waiting to pull it up. Amari Cooper at 31. He's pulling it. Do we think he can bounce back, or is he washed? I'll start. He's washed. Continue. I don't know if anybody else would like to chime in on that.
That run in Buffalo certainly is not inspiring.
No, it was bad.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get more than maybe like a 1-year, $8 million deal kind of thing. I mean, him being 31 doesn't bode well for him.
Ring chase,
but
ring chase. I heard Kansas City needs a guy.
What's funny is I'm not even gonna lie. For some of these veteran players, I'm like, aren't they all just gonna go?
They're going to go to Kansas.
They probably will. Yeah, I mean that'll be the spot they go to ring chase. I mean, Cooper spent time in the NFC East. Wouldn't surprise me if maybe Washington makes a call that way. Like a lot of these guys that have histories in certain divisions, like they'll tend to go back for rivals, etc. So like I could see Washington doing that there. Philly doesn't have a need for him because they already have Smith and Brown. So
they didn't have a need for Julio Jones, and they had Smith and Brown.
Yeah, but they waited till like training camp when they brought
just saying.
Julio in. So, and that's the thing is, I don't think Cooper's gonna have to wait that long, especially with how few elite options are in this year's wide receiver draft class. Like, I actually think that you'll see a lot of these veterans will sign well before the NFL draft this year.
I completely off topic, but Thrive brought it up because DJ Chark, Allen Robinson, D.D. Westbrook, led by Blake Bortles. How did
I love
team...
me some D.D. Westbrook, man. He was.
I was going to say,
but time out. How did that team make the AFC Championship game?
Twitter draft analyst had me convinced D.D. Westbrook was the
next Wes Welker
coming.
Yeah, was the next greatest slot receiver. He was good that year, but
might have been if he didn't have Blake Bortles at quarterback.
Read that Leonard Fournette in the backfield. Read that sentence again.
Yeah.
And that team made the AFC Championship game.
It's good coaching, man. Tom Coughlin's a good coach.
Insane how that happened. Mike Williams. That's funny.
I said aging.
That's funny.
It's incredible to me how
year.
quickly wide receivers are falling off in the NFL.
Timeout. Mike Williams was never on the fucking mountain. He was always at base camp and gave you that little contract year, little tease, and then immediately fell off the mountain again. Yeah. He was like, he made it to Everest, like second base camp, and then somebody's like, oh, you forgot your llama down at base camp 1, so he had to walk back down. Like, that's Mike Williams. I'm not wrong. I have pegged Mike Williams since day fucking 1. Day 1, I had him pegged. This guy sucks. He'll go to a team, have one good game, catch a touchdown, and then disappear.
You and I don't use the word sucks the same. Mike Williams was a very talented individual.
He was a talented 50-50 guy for 6 games a year.
I mean, yeah, availability is an issue with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you and I if someone got hurt all the time, I didn't say they sucked. It's unfortunate.
They sucked. It's unfortunate that they sucked.
Boston sports radio.
That's true. Yeah.
We have a show to do today, is what they always say on Boston sports radio. We have a show to do today. Chris Godwin, if his leg's still attached to his body, he should be okay, but he's 29. So void year as well. So we'll see what happens with him. Yeah. Deontay Johnson, maybe that dude.
Lobotomy. Yeah. I don't know what the hell happened this year, but holy shit.
Listen, he's on the Antonio Brown trajectory right now. Yeah. He is going to join Antonio at CT ESPN, and I'm waiting for them to have a duo Twitter account. Whew. DeAndre Hopkins, washed.
Yeah, he looked not good. Not good in the Super
Bowl. He put up surprisingly decent numbers last year, though. I'm not saying he's not washed. I'm just saying he put up surprisingly decent.
First off, because I forgot I didn't get the chance to talk about this. He had a 70-yard touchdown in his fucking hands.
Yeah.
And my brother texted me. He was like, how'd he drop that? And I'm like, I tripped on his feet. I have no idea how DeAndre Hopkins dropped that football. He's toast. He's done. I would not be surprised if he retires. Maybe give it one more shot, but I would not be
I was going to say, I don't know that he wants to end with that lasting image in his head.
I think if the Chiefs are willing to hold on to him, he'll stick around. So,
and that's fair. Brandon Cooks, maybe one more year.
I didn't realize he was 32 years old.
Yep.
When I was going through and making this list, I was like, holy shit. I mean, he came into the league really young. Like, he was 20.
Was he not the Odell Beckham 2014 draft class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That draft class was loaded with wide receivers. That's Mike Evans, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks. Go back and look at that class. That might be one of the best draft classes.
Well, that was the benchmark for a lot of years.
Oh, my God.
Because that was the one where fantasy managers got spoiled, and then for the next 3 years, we drafted every rookie wide receiver and got bit by it. Yep. So,
and we're still doing that to this day.
Yeah.
I pulled it up real quick because it was truly insane. It's hilarious, though. The first 3 picks, dog shit. Jadeveon Clowney, so underwhelming.
Yeah.
Greg Robinson, horrible.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Blake Bortles, what?
At least he made a championship game. I'll give him some credit.
But then, like, it's so funny. Because then you go Sammy Watkins, fine. Khalil Mack, elite.
He's been good.
Jake Matthews, dog. Mike Evans, dog. Justin Gilbert, guess who drafted him? The Browns.
Not to
Anthony
mention
Barr.
they traded that Sammy Watkins pick. The Browns did that year.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, they did. Anthony Barr, solid throughout his career.
Yeah.
Not a 9th overall pick, but solid throughout his career. Eric Ebron, miss.
He had
That
a
was-
couple good years, but he
But at
definitely
10, a miss.
for as much
Yeah.
as he was touted because of being so athletic,
This is
yeah, no,
insane.
definitely wasn't.
Here is 11 through 20. Taylor Lewan, all pro. Odell Beckham, all pro. Aaron Donald, greatest defensive tackle to ever live. Kyle Fuller, all pro. Ryan Shazier, all pro. Zach Martin, one of the best offensive guards to ever live.
Yeah.
CJ Mosley, all pro. Calvin Pryor, Jawan James, all pro. Brandon Cooks, all pro.
wow.
What a fucking run in 2014.
Yeah.
That
was
is
a draft class right there.
that is an insane draft class. Kelvin Benjamin. Holy hell. That was also the Johnny Manziel draft. That draft has so many storylines. I love that. Continuing with the aging vets. Demarcus Robinson will be a good wide receiver 3, I think, on whatever team picks him up. Nelson Aguilar. I don't know why I did that. He's still alive. It just,
Yes, very much.
yeah. maybe he's back in Philly. Who knows? Maybe he can reunite with the guy
The guy
that
who
caught
made
the
fun of
baby.
him on the news.
Yeah, why not? Tyler Boyd showed some spark in Tennessee when they needed him, so could be a guy that could help a little bit. I'm not saying he was a world beater, but he showed a little bit. Bobby Trees, I don't know how this man's still walking. but
If this
he
dude
is-
does not fucking retire, I don't know
No.
what at this point.
Oh, he's not gonna. I guarantee you, he goes back to the Rams on like a 1-year deal. Fuck it, get rid of Cooper Kupp, bring in Robert
What if
Woods.
Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp all end up on the same fucking team?
You
This would be
mean-
the greatest thing to ever
You mean
happen.
with Matt Stafford in
Oh.
Vegas,
Done. Boom.
led by Tom Brady coming out of retirement
Oh,
because Matt
shit.
Stafford gets hurt? Oh, the oldest average age in the NFL by far. Juju Smith-Schuster, dude, please. I've been calling for you to just be a TikTok star since it all started going downhill for you. There's still that opportunity. The U.S. government didn't ban it. It's back, buddy. You can do it. I believe in you. 29 feels like he's 37. And talk about a guy that feels like he's 37. Allen Robinson.
Wow. Cannot believe he's still in the league. I was
Spent
updating
last year in
my
Detroit.
I was updating
Was
my-
he? I
Yep.
was going to say, wasn't he a Steeler?
I was updating my projections today, my sheet of rosters, and I was shocked to find his name on the Detroit roster. So
All right. Here are some potential wide receivers in the move, as we've heard in the news. Cooper Kupp will be released if he's not traded. Debo, released if he's not traded. Devontae Adams, just simply won't be a Jet. Cortland Sutton, as you mentioned, no guaranteed money, void in 2026. Extension candidates, we've already had Khalil Shakir. Duke Tobin is on record saying Jamar Chase will be the highest paid non-quarterback. So expecting a contract deal north of $40 million for Jamar Chase. Not saying it's unwarranted. The guy probably, if the Bengals were better, would have been second in the MVP voting because that dude was insane. Drake London, solid. Garrett Wilson reportedly asking for a trade, assuming with that trade would probably come a contract extension from that team trying to trade for him.
Yeah.
Chris Olave and George Pickens. The last two, I would say, less likely to be getting a bigger contract extension from their teams, especially George Pickens. So we have who will win the Tee Higgins sweepstakes. Everyone here thinks that's Cincinnati because there's absolutely just...
Yeah, me and Josh hit on this quarterback show, or no, maybe it was just last week with Andrew. The salary cap going up by the $26 million, I feel just played perfectly into the Bengals' hands. So
insane. The one I want to focus on, the older guys, because we talked about this. Like, we don't feel there's many teams that are going to benefit from, like, again, getting they're going to get a guy and they're immediately like, boom, NFC Championship, like, or AFC Championship. Like, doesn't feel like there's going to be that one guy. These older guys, is there anything that Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, or Devontae Adams can do for their new teams that they go to that's going to make you either in real life look like, oh, wow, this team got a lot better, they can be a contender, or in fantasy football be like, yeah, I moved him up my rankings like a decent amount because he went to this team. I don't see it. I don't know if you guys have anything.
Based on that watermark, I would agree. I'm not moving any of these guys anywhere, but I do think Kupp and Adams are likely to be fine. And I know we saw really bad Kupp to end the season, but this Kupp is kind of reminding me of the exact same story as Adam Thielen, where he's an old white wide receiver and everyone's ready to write him off. If Kupp ends up on the right team for fantasy, I think he could still be relevant. I think Adams is extremely relevant. Debo is the tougher one, and Josh and I have talked about this. I'll let Josh chime in here. I don't think there are many teams in the NFL who are going to use Debo like the San Francisco 49ers, Josh.
So the way that I would rank these three guys would be Adams, Debo, and then Kupp. I've been on record saying that Cooper Kupp is done. He is absolutely washed. And I think the biggest thing is where we didn't see in Minnesota the types of injuries that really sort of derailed Adam Thielen, except for like the last maybe year or so that he was there. Injuries have been a part of Cooper Kupp literally since he's been in the league. Yeah. And when those things happen year after year after year, that's what saps your effectiveness towards the end of your career. And that's why I don't really see Cooper Kupp being very effective. With Deebo Samuel, there is one team that I want to see him on.
Can I guess it?
Go ahead.
Miami.
Nope.
Oh, I was going to say fuck Jalen Waddle. That would be the spot I would want him to go.
No.
But go ahead.
Pittsburgh. You put Deebo Samuel on Pittsburgh with Arthur Smith. Remember when Cordero Patterson was RB6? Deebo Samuel gained enough weight to become a new running back.
Oh, so
I'm just saying.
He's the next Cordero Patterson. I like that.
I was about to say, I thought you were going to like go
honestly,
into...
to me, he's more talented than Cordero Patterson.
Oh,
he's a better tackle breaker.
Well, listen, yes, like
Cordero
Patterson was never a good receiver or running back.
Well, I've been on record saying I don't think Deebo Samuel is a very good wide receiver. He's a good playmaker.
It's an interesting take, Josh.
Yeah, he's a good playmaker.
And you put him in this sort of like, you know, what Sean Payton likes to call this joker role, that you can move him all around the offense, whether it's in the slot, out wide, behind the line of scrimmage, lined up at tight end, wherever it is. Like Deebo Samuel can play that type of role, and you get him the football. He breaks tackles. He's a physical player. That lines up with Pittsburgh Steelers football.
Is Deebo the next Cordero, or is he the next Taysom fucking Hill?
I don't know. But I think Pittsburgh could be a perfect spot. And especially if the reports that are coming out, I know that they've said that Russ has had discussions so far with Pittsburgh. There's also been some internal talks that Pittsburgh really likes the idea of giving Justin Fields a chance. Like he performed pretty well. What's the best way to take pressure off of a quarterback that truthfully isn't the best thrower? You run the damn football. What does Deebo Samuel do pretty fucking well? Runs the football. Just saying. I think that could be a really good offensive piece for what Arthur Smith wants to do. Also be really good for us in fantasy.
I just love that the Steelers are gung-ho on being forever 500, and they're just happy about that.
Exactly.
Like, they'll never be in a good enough draft position.
You win one Super Bowl early, and then you're 500 and coast.
Well, they'll never be a good enough position to get a quarterback in the NFL draft, but they'll never be... But they'll never be in a good enough position to go far in the playoffs.
It reminds me of when Chase Young's rookie year, there was that clip of Mike Tomlin, who was like, I'm sorry, we'll never be good enough to draft a guy like you, or something like that. He said that to him after the game. So,
we'll bad enough to draft a guy like you.
Yeah.
Like, not saying like you need to be bad, but the Patriots did sign Jacoby Brissett with the intent of never playing Drake May.
What's interesting is I feel like Steelers fans are some of the more docile fans towards their own team. And I'm starting to see some of them turn where they're tired of forever mediocrity. Like for a while, it was kind of like a badge of honor that like Tomlin's never been under 500. But it's like, okay, well, fuck, dude. Like, we're never going to get better if we don't at least suck for a year.
Like, Mike, like, I get it. Like, you know, maybe you don't want to be like 2-15, but like, hey, can you give us like a 5-win season? Like, give us a top 5 draft.
Let us get a top 10 pick or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, you're not trading into the top 3 with the 20th overall.
And then
pick.
they don't do trades like that anyway. So
no, and that's like they're old.
They're far too conservative an organization for today's NFL.
Same thing as New England. The joke was, oh, it doesn't matter. Belichick has the 12th pick. He'll just trade back for 17 third-round picks.
Yep.
And he'll
then he
find,
does it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he does. If Pittsburgh keeps Justin Fields, that's insane. They just need a full reset and find a bridge vet quarterback and just go from there. Russ also looks a little chunky in a video that I saw of him recently. He looked a little chunky. He's been eating too much McDonald's on the Leonard Fournette offseason diet. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up with quick fire landing spots. Who lands where? I'm gonna skip Tee Higgins. We've said it. We know where T is. Chris Godwin. Does anybody think he's not a Buck?
No, I think he stays there.
I think he stays, but I do think a team that will give him a run is the Jags because of Liam Cohen, and it stays in the state of Florida. And the caveat here is if the Jaguars do release Christian Kirk post June 1st, they save $16.2 million.
I was going to say it would only make sense if Christian Kirk wasn't there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Cooper Kupp. Obviously, he's not a Ram.
Yeah. I have this being, and I know you guys disagree, I have this being the splash based on the name that Buffalo makes. I think Cooper Kupp getting out of, if the Rams are going to get rid of him, they're going to want him out of the NFC. So he's not biting him in the ass. I think he's the right kind of veteran presence for Josh Allen. I think Cooper Kupp ends up in Buffalo.
Josh.
I think he goes to Houston. Houston brought in Nick Caley, the former pass game coordinator for the Rams. And I think anytime you're looking at players like this, they want to go to systems they're familiar with. I mean, Atlanta could be an option because of Zach Robinson, but they've got Darnell Mooney there, and he played really well. I think Nick Caley in Houston makes a lot of sense because I don't think Houston is able to re-sign Stephon Diggs because I have a different landing spot for him.
I'm going with where I'd like these guys to be. I think Kupp in Washington is interesting. I think they need a guy in the slot.
Yeah, I say that's what I for the last question of this section. That's what I use that for. So,
and that's what I'm going to answer mine just off of these.
Yeah.
Debo, Josh, you already mentioned you would like to see him and think he goes to Pittsburgh. Ryan,
I love Josh's Pittsburgh idea. I was trying to think of another offensive coordinator who can do some interesting things with players. And Joe, I think he ends up with your New England Patriots.
Oh, gross! Please no.
Mainly because I knew how much you would hate it. I was really down with this idea.
Oh, please. You're down with it because I hate it? That was the only reason?
No, I think it also makes sense. I think McDaniels is one of the few offensive coordinators who would know how to use Debo Samuel.
Well, there is a guy that knows how to use him, and it's Mike McDaniel. So let's keep him in the division and keep him in South Beach. And
that's
keep Debo Samuel far, far, far away from the New England Patriots. Please and thank you. I appreciate that. Devontae Adams, Josh.
I mean, the short answer is wherever Aaron Rodgers goes.
Yep.
But I do like the idea of him going to Washington with the Commanders. I mean, granted, as an Eagles fan, I don't like it, but I think that they need a legitimate wide receiver too. And I think that Daniels is the type of talent that will draw attention to veterans that want a chance to win. And, like I said, Washington has a shit ton of cap space. Best, tool in a cap manager's toolbox is a exciting rookie on a rookie contract at quarterback. So
yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense for Adams.
Ryan.
I was tempted to go New Orleans because of Derek Carr, but ever since Devontae Adams left Green Bay, shit has went wrong for him. So why not come home? Devontae Adams back to the Green Bay Packers.
Sure, why not? I'll say the New York Giants because I think the Giants will be suckers and take Aaron Rodgers. And my question, I think Josh is frozen. I don't know if he's still here. My question.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. So when I said the thing about him going to Green Bay, his camera froze, and I thought Josh was looking at me like I was a complete fucking moron.
Yeah, he said his connection shit, so that makes sense.
Okay.
So Ryan, I'm gonna ask you this question. if Aaron, because this is not a Rodgers or a Devontae question. If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Giants, which we know the Giants would then be getting Devontae Adams, do you think less or more of Malik Neighbors?
Right where he is, he's still a top 5 wide receiver for me, probably top 10 at worst, top 5. We tried to play this game with Garrett Wilson, and after those first 2 games, Wilson's target volume skyrocketed. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is
But it dropped when Devontae got there.
Did it?
That's what I'm saying, is he started, even if it didn't show in the stat sheet, it felt like it. There were a couple games Wilson had good games. But
so
overall,
Adams was at 140 in 14 games. Wilson was at 154. Obviously, notoriously, what did he hit? 179, 181?
I think it was 170 or something
170
like that.
even,
Wilson,
yeah. So Garrett Wilson at 154, we're talking 1 target per game. It does not concern me. I'm more concerned about Rodgers because, like you, I fucking hate Aaron Rodgers, but he can't be worse than what they had last year. So.
And that's true. It's just, oh boy, yeah, I know. It's just like I feel that coming as like the Malik Neighbors. Oh, he went to the Giants. We're gonna lower him on our draft sheet. We're not gonna take him higher. That obviously did not pan out.
If Aaron Rodgers makes Malik Neighbors more affordable, I am all fucking for it. So that is a really good point too. Vince brought up. I don't know if he brought it up for this reason. Is there are some deceiving parts of Garrett Wilson's numbers that 4 or 5 of his games were like 15 target games. Heavy. And that's just really insane. So,
yes. So, and that's where I get a little worried that we know Rodgers knows Neighbors is good. He knows he's great. That doesn't matter to Aaron Rodgers. What matters to Aaron Rodgers is getting Devontae Adams the football and showing that these 2 guys can still play. That's my only worry.
Yeah,
Stephon Diggs.
Where did I have him going?
I mean, in all reality, he should.
I actually had him staying. Josh brought up he doesn't think they can afford him. I think Houston gave Diggs a home. Diggs didn't do a lot to make him like appealing for other teams, and Houston needs him now with this Tank Dell injury. So I think he stays.
Currently, Houston is $530,000 above the cap, but as we all know,
it's all made.
Our favorite stat every year is the New Orleans Saints. They are currently minus $51 million over the cap, which is our favorite stat every single year. So we know the cap is crap. So yes, at that point, really doesn't matter. Keenan Allen, Ryan.
Well, I'm going to bring Josh back in. Okay, there we go.
I thought he was going to bring himself back in. That's why I didn't mention anything.
Oh, gotcha.
I think this should be better. Good Lord.
So I think Keenan Allen returns to the Chargers. Josh, you said this on a show a few weeks ago, or Joe, maybe it was you. Did Allen say at one point it's either Chicago or the Chargers, or was that not?
He said it's either Chicago or LA.
Oh,
he didn't specify the Chargers.
So I put the Chargers. I don't love the fit. Obviously, like he kind of fits with New England if they're looking for just that slot guy.
Ryan,
like,
listen.
Your heart couldn't
take it. I'm going to say New England, knowing it's not going to happen. He's been rumored to New England for 4 seasons.
If he's willing to be a depth piece, I think he just goes back to the Chargers. I think that's a team in contention that needs that veteran leadership. He's not taking Quentin Johnston's job because they don't have the same skill set. He's not taking Ladd McConkey's job because he's just not as good as Ladd McConkey at this point in their careers. So he needs to be, if he's willing to be Josh Palmer, but probably a better version of Josh Palmer, I think Keenan Allen ends back with the Chargers. I think it goes well.
Josh.
Keenan Allen's going to go to the Rams. He's going to stay in LA, or he's going to go back to LA, but he's going to replace Cooper Kupp. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And they'll draft somebody that can kind of fit in that mold. But since I missed Stephon Diggs, I think Diggs goes to the Giants because Joe Shane and Dable need to they're doing damage control and they're fighting for their jobs right now. And I think they're going to make a lot of panic moves. And Diggs obviously has a history with them from their time in Buffalo.
I actually don't hate that if they get a quarterback.
But I think putting a veteran opposite Malik Neighbors,
if they're taking Shedeur Sanders,
you're assuming Shedeur Sanders is going to be there. We don't know.
True. Yes. The Giants are at 3.
All cards lay in the Titans and Browns' hands.
There's honestly though, there's a lot of chatter that Shedeur Sanders may not even be a top 10 pick.
Ooh, I'm hearing the other way. Shedeur Sanders, after meeting with the top, I thought it was 3 or 4 teams, canceled all of his workouts. So to me, that screams he knows he's going top 3.
Could very well be, but everything that I've read, like from different insiders that have, obviously citing different sources and stuff, but usually when quarterbacks decline to throw or participate in drills at the combine, it's usually because they're like bona fide top 3, top 5 picks. And the chatter has been Shedeur Sanders has way too much confidence in himself because he's not that talented.
And I don't know that I disagree with that. I say
shows.
I don't know a lot about him because I don't watch a lot of college. The one just before we came on the show, one of the NFL insiders said he would be shocked if the Browns don't go quarterback based on the chatter he's hearing.
Which I think is stupid.
No, it's not.
Because all you're doing is setting that kid up for failure, and you're right back here in 3 years because your team is just not good. That's the problem. Well, I understand the trying side of it, but if you don't have a team around that quarterback,
Patriots suck. You found the guy. Cleveland
I
hasn't
agree.
found
you found
the guy,
and now you've got to go through and build around him. But now you've effectively gone and wasted one of those pivotal cheap years.
100%. But now you have the guy.
Okay,
that's the thing.
Obviously, the Browns losing Myles Garrett would be a detriment, but the Browns still have a pretty decent secondary. Their front 7
when they're healthy. When they're healthy.
Very, very good point. Their O-line isn't awful. You have David Njoku, you have Jerry Jeudy, and obviously the show has mixed feelings about Jerry Jeudy. I don't know that the Browns are that bad. They're in comparison to their division, it's a problem, obviously. So
the offensive, I would say the offense as a whole in Cleveland, weapon-wise, and if you put Teddy Bridgewater on the Browns win 9 games.
Just someone who can play it safe.
Yeah, that's what it. Teddy Bridgewater, bye, Josh. Teddy Bridgewater is literally statistically, historically, the most average quarterback in NFL history.
I don't know what popped up on Josh's screen. I'm guessing it was something telling him he was getting kicked off again. Because when I said the Browns offense isn't that bad, Josh had this shocked look. And I'm like, man, my takes are just kicking Josh off of the show left and right tonight.
I know we're like off on this, but this is relevant to the conversation, especially with Malik Neighbors. Again, I don't watch. If you were to say blanket statement with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders right now are the top 2 quarterbacks by far, not even close. If you were to look at pure talent wise across the board, welcome back for just overall talent. You're not looking at positional needs. The quarterbacks of this class probably don't crack the top 20.
There's a lot of things to like about Cam Ward. I want to watch. Obviously, I'll start digging into tape in the next couple of weeks. Josh is about to get booted again. Yeah. I want to start digging into the tape in the next couple of weeks. There's a lot of things to like about Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders is interesting because college stats skew things because they count sacks as negative rushing yards. So it doesn't look like he ran a lot in college, but he does have a lot of positive rushing plays. He just took a lot of sacks. He's a very efficient quarterback. And that's, just putting it bluntly, stereotypes in today's day. You don't look as a young black quarterback as a non-rushing efficient quarterback, but that's kind of what Shedeur Sanders is. And I think that fits today's NFL as long as he goes to a team that can use him properly. Again, I have to watch tape to figure more out about Shedeur Sanders. So
Shedeur Sanders' arm talent wise is insane. He has a cannon. He could sit back there, throw with anybody, and unlike Anthony Richardson, he can throw every route in the route tree.
I feel he has to be pro ready. You would really think, being raised the way he was raised. The NFL isn't going to take Shedeur Sanders by surprise the way it did some other people. So,
I mean, there's no better mentor or no better person to prepare.
Well, no better mentor, and then
Deion Sanders.
While NIL has some certainly negative aspects, and I urge everybody to go read Gator J's article on our website about NIL and the kind of the downside of it, I also think we're kind of done seeing players being culture shocked by the NFL and all of a sudden having all this money. These guys have been rich now
They
since
got
they
it
were
now.
18 years old. So.
I'll tell the perfect thing right there. Carson Beck, slated to be a first-round pick this year, before the college football season was being talked about as the projected number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
This season, not a great year for him, not a great year overall for the Georgia Bulldogs. And people were like, all right,
Miami.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like people are like, all right, well, he's, he's still going to go pro, right? He's going to get his money. He's going to be a first-round pick. He'll be fine. Miami threw $20 million of NIL money at this guy.
Yeah.
$20 million. That's way more than that kid's making in his first year as a pro. That's almost
gonna be first NFL contract.
That's what I'm saying. Is like
because he's not going to be a top 5 pick.
Exactly. That rookie contract is going to be pretty much the same. And he gets to go hang out with his girlfriend at the same time, and Hannah Cavender. So it's just 2 bad college athletes playing at Miami. What a classic play by the Hurricanes there. But they threw so much money at him, and that's to Ryan's point is, a guy who probably would have come out last year
Haley's
in his draft.
Player, but
Haley's a much better basketball player. Hannah sucks. If you look at their statistics side by side.
I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, Ryan's like, what the hell? Your son knows who Haley and Hannah Cavender are. Don't you worry. Yeah. But yeah, like it's a great point is Carson Beck was throwing all this money. I literally said like the only reason he doesn't go pro is because somebody throws him a shit ton of NIL money.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Miami did. And honestly, Miami's going to benefit from it. I think the Hurricanes are going to benefit. They're going to get probably some better recruits, and they're probably going to have a really good season ahead of them. And there's a chance, they go further in the college football playoff with.
They
Carson
have some
Beck.
really good wide receivers on that team, and that was when Carson Beck was at his best, is when he had Bowers and McConkey to throw to.
Yeah.
And to be fair, his receivers last year, flat out fucking sucked. They just dropped.
We're not talking about any Georgia pass catchers this year.
No. All the Georgia pass catchers last year dropped everything. Oh, add to that 2014 draft class, Malcolm Mitchell, an insanely crucial part of the New England Patriots comeback in that Super Bowl. He was like a 4th-round pick. Just popped into my head as that 2014 draft class. He was a fantastic Georgia wide receiver, had health issues. That's why he couldn't continue. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all she wrote. Absolutely.
Wait, I want to answer the last question.
I know, and it literally just came in, so Easy B.
I don't even mean that. I mean the one Josh has on the show sheet, but let's answer Easy B's question too.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I thought you kind of already answered that, so my apologies. Easy B, how much draft capital in a dynasty league would you tag along with J.J. McCarthy to get Drake May? Owner is asking for Justin Jefferson plus.
No, he's asking for J.J. McCarthy plus to get Drake May.
Listen. I read JJ's just Jefferson.
Yeah, I was like,
that feels like too much already. Owner is for JJ plus, wondering the amount.
The only way I'm making this trade if it's super flex easy, so let me just throw that out there right away. I'm not trading for quarterbacks in single QB leagues.
Yeah.
If it's super flex, Joe, I understand. May is definitely the better prospect as of right now. We didn't see McCarthy, and honestly, May was more of a fantasy-friendly prospect coming out. A late 2, early 3, I feel like should get it done.
I was going to say JJ in a second.
Yeah.
In a super flex,
it's going to be JJ in a first. That's the only way the manager with Drake May is going to part with him. So,
see, I'm not
because you're trading for an unknown in McCarthy. It's a quarterback in a great situation. We know what Drake May is let me rephrase that. We know what the potential trajectory is for Drake May. We don't know that with McCarthy because we have literally seen nothing. We just know that he has a lot of great pass catchers to throw to.
So, Josh, let me ask you this, though. Would you do it? Would you do JJ in a 1 to get May?
I would.
So, one thing I'll throw out is Easy says it's a 12-man.
If I was trading McCarthy to get Drake May, I would take first McCarthy in heartbeat.
So, the one thing I'll throw out there is from all of the very smart people I follow about Dynasty, I'm hearing the 2026 draft class is kind of ass. If I could give up a 2026 1 in a 12-man league to make this deal, I would probably do it in that situation. I'm not giving a 2025 1, and I'm not giving a 2027 1. I will not give up a chance to draft that wide receiver from Ohio State.
I mean, the 2025 I mean, there really aren't that many players in this class either.
Yeah, we're gonna have to kick Josh out of here.
Yeah, you're struggling over there, Mr. Florida. It's
we don't need to drag this show along, Joe. Let's go ahead and get us out
I
of
do not.
here.
And that's why I said
I get it. Yep, 100%. Yep.
Your player landing spot combo was Cup to the Commanders, correct? Is that what I was?
No, so just real quick, I think it could be interesting to see a good wide receiver go to Carolina because all I want to see is Bryce Young succeed. And I said, if Chris Godwin is healthy and went to Carolina, it could be interesting. Josh brought up Liam Cohen, but let's not forget he has a history with Dave Canales as well. So,
Josh put in the private chat. It is Debo to the Steelers. In my dream situation, is Keenan Allen to the Patriots, which will never happen. But that's just my dream scenario. I'd like to have a Keenan Allen Patriots jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all she wrote for. Oh, and we have spammers and bots, so we made it, folks. I love that. That is all for this week. As you all know, next week, tight end position, as we always do, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and of course, I mean, guys, there's a chance the tight end free agency class is better than the wide receiver class.
Can't be worse.
It's hard to get worse. When we're talking about Tutu Atwell in their prime category, it really is hard to get much worse than that. We're talking tight ends next week, and then we're also going to be recapping the NFL Combine. We'll get some news and notes again. Follow women of _FF.
Our guest may be at the Combine right now.
Ooh, fun. Yes, but we're going to look at that. We'll get some news and notes from the Combine, and then after that, we dive into. God, free agency is then here.
Then we start free agency recapping. Then we dive into the rooks.
And then we go right into the rookies, ladies and gentlemen. So as we had a little preview of the Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders discussion, more of that will continue, and we'll have people that do watch college football, unlike Ryan and myself, on these shows. We have only watched, one would say, the highlights.
Hey, thank God for NCAA 25. I actually know these players' names now, which puts me a step ahead of where I've been for the last 10 years.
It's not just number 25 on University of Miami.
Exactly. Yep. I know who they are now. I know what they're kind of good at. I know who I hate when I see them when I'm going up against them in ranked games. So I feel a little bit more knowledgeable.
Look at this guy. I love that. The NCAA football, who would have thought?
Saved my life.
Teaching the older millennials of America.
The 45-year-olds who the fuck these players
who would have thought?
are.
The Gen Y of America, teaching them. For Josh, whose internet said, fuck you. Ryan, myself, you follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL, clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, folks, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you